This is it. Episode 45 is The Final Strike.
They said the staple had been removed. That was the explanation. Routine, clerical, nothing unusual. Paper was stapled.
I believe this
Paper
clause
was
here
unstapled.
addresses the restructuring.
That was how they wanted it to sound. Temporary, forgettable, harmless. Because once metal left the page, most people stopped asking what it had done to the paper while it was there. That was the mistake. A staple did not just hold, it pierced, it compressed, it forced fibers apart and left them altered even after it was gone. The document lay on the desk between them, flat, clean, 2 small holes near the top margin. That was what they wanted her to see. A removed staple, a simple action, a finished detail with no story left behind. The man across from her didn't look worried. He looked settled. It was taken out. He said, calm, easy, certain, as if removal erased everything that came before. For most people, it did. Because once the staple was no longer visible, they stopped asking whether the holes had ever closed the way they should. That was the comfort of absence. Sarah looked at the holes, not at their position, at their edges, at how the paper sat around them. That was the difference. Other people saw emptiness. Sarah saw damage. A woman to the side relaxed too early. Another person pressed the page flatter against the desk as if pressure could return the paper to its original state. That was useful. It meant they believed removal was reversal. Sarah leaned forward, not to question whether a staple had been there, to read what it had left behind. That
Open
was where
edge,
the story broke.
Too natural.
A normal
Now the tight
removal
edge.
left fibers
Yes.
slightly
Post-removal,
lifted outward.
unnatural compression.
Edges softened. Open, released. This one didn't. The holes were too tight, too clean, too closed. The fibers around them pressed inward as if they had been forced back together. That was the problem. The staple had not simply been removed. The paper had been altered afterward, pressed, flattened, corrected. That was worse, because ordinary handling could explain holes, but holes that refused to stay open belonged to intervention, to control, to someone trying to erase the mark without removing the evidence. Sarah looked again, not at the holes, at the way the fibers resisted opening. The man across from her noticed the pause. His shoulders changed before his face did. That was enough. "What is it?" the woman asked. "Too soon, too exposed." Sarah placed one finger beside one hole, then moved it to the other. "These should
The
open,"
hole should
she
remain
said.
slightly open
Then
after
she held
removal.
the tight edges. "These don't." Silence. No one interrupted. Because holes were not absence. They were structure. And structure was hard to fake once paper had already been pierced. The man leaned forward, looked at the holes again, then the edges, then back again. He didn't answer. That was the answer. The woman to the side
Just use the
straightened
remover
slowly.
like I showed you. I am. but
Another
it's tearing
person
the
stopped
paper.
touching the page.
It's fine. Keep going.
That was how
You don't have
certainty
much time
broke.
before they notice.
Not when the staple was gone. When the damage refused to behave like it had been. The same holes they called ordinary now exposed the pressure that came after. Sarah didn't push further. She didn't need to. The paper was doing enough already. 2 holes, 2 edges, 1 behavior that did not belong, 3 details that should have protected their version, now turning against it. The man sat back, careful now, no longer settled. The document remained open between them, still clean, still official, still visible, and no longer believable. Sarah stepped back half a pace, still there, still watching, but no longer proving.
No weight.
Because once a hole refuses to stay open the way it should, removal stops being the explanation. And sometimes, the fastest way to expose what was done to a document is not to look for what's missing. It is to ask why the paper closed where it should have stayed broken.
The truth is finally out. Stay with me for the finale. Subscribe now.